Match incoming. Everyone loading? There we go. Thanks, guys, for joining me. This is the Cat's Pajamas and Destiny, bringing to you guys the SC Reddit Open semifinals. This is game number 2 of a best of 3. Here, I want to thank the organizers at starcraft.reddit.com and screddit.com. Also, visit their sponsors at zmagnets.com and newgamesninja.com. So down here in the bottom left-hand corner of Xel'Naga Caverns, we have GT Cheticus. Cheticus is our pink Zerg player. In the top right-hand corner, we have Hay, spawning as our orange Terran player. Again, I said R, that's the middle of Missouri coming out. Our is what I intended to say. So Hay is going ahead and throwing down his supply depot. It was kind of a crazy game on Scrap Station for the first one. He produced a very large tank marine army. Emphasis on tanks. He had 4 tanks building at a time there at the end. Cheticus responded with Roach Infestor with Neural Parasite, completely wiped out Hayes' army, but Hayes' macro was so good, he was continually re-denying economy and overlords and just forcing Cheticus out of the macro game, that he was able to come back and was victorious. So given what you've seen from Cheticus in the first game, how do you expect his build to differ now that we're on Xel'Naga Caverns versus Scrap Station?
Well, I almost think that, I mean, if I think about it again, I almost think that in the first game on Scrap Station, I think his build could have won if instead of, after that first really convincing win over the Terran, after the first demolishing his third, if he instead would have maybe macro to a different kind of tech, like maybe mass some mutas up or even, I don't know, just something besides more infestors, so that he would actually have some real fighting units and not have to worry about the Terran moving in with those infestors sitting on 0 energy.
Yeah, it seems like he realized that he needed the tech to Spire, but it came way, way, way too late in the game. He decided to put up his Spire, I think, less than 4 minutes before it was left. I think there were only 3 Mutalisks onto the field to play. Of course, they were completely useless by that point, but Cheticus, I expect, will respond a little bit quicker this time around if the same events sort of do happen. We do have Cheticus going ahead and checking for, I suppose, a proxy barracks there at the back of those bushes there along the side of the map. Hay is indeed going for a double barrack strategy with no gas at this point, so we'll see if he decides to move in very, very aggressively, or if he's just going to send in the initial few Marines and try and turn this into somewhat of an economic build. But Cheticus, unfortunately, is going to lose his drone. Did he spot? No, he doesn't even know that there's even 1 barracks up, much less 2. So 1 Marine out at the moment. We do have Cheticus going ahead and researching Zergling speed and putting up his Queen, so he is going to be ready for a quick Marine push on his natural.
I'm a little worried for the Zerg at this point. Not scouting that 2 racks, man. You really, especially if the Terran decides to push this all in, you really need to know that that's coming. I see that the Zerg made some drones. He's only got 2 Lings on the way. It doesn't look like he's really preparing at all for any early kind of push. Although I do see the drone at the bottom of the ramp patrolling back and forth to make sure that there are no proxy bunkers going up.
So we do have 1 Overlord rumbling his way across the map. Oh wow, actually Cheticus is going to put down that expansion. He has the shadow up for it. He is going to expand. We already have a few Marines that are making their way across the back, but of course this Overlord will spot it. Hay doing the right thing and taking out that Overlord. Right now Overlord is going to fall very quickly. And indeed it does. But the expansion is up. We'll see exactly how much Hay decides to commit to this. He has his next command center on the way, not actually pulling any SCVs at this time. Just looks like he wants to move up with the amount of Marines that he has.
Larva and minerals at this early stage in the game, especially when you fast expand, are so hard to come by. So I would be surprised to see Hay not try to do at least some kind of early pressure after killing that Overlord. Although Cheticus' build allows him for these fast speedlings, I think he's actually going to be able to respond to this quite well and take out everything without losing too much in exchange, which will be good for the Zerg.
Yeah, and here comes the Speedlings now, opting for the surround. They are trying to get themselves into position. The Marines trying to do what they can, not really going to be able to kite out of that surround. A couple of Marines go down very quickly. Cheticus showing some nice control with those Zerglings, and the rest of the Marines are going to fall. So that attack is down. Hay has already gone ahead and thrown up both of his refineries. And he's about to finish his fast expand as well. So he just wanted to test the waters a little bit with those Marines. They did get their face rocked, but he is ready with some Marines back at his base. So Cheticus moving in right now. He does unfortunately see that there are a number of Marines sitting there. A couple more barracks on the way, so we are going to have 4 barracks total for Hay. Back on the Zerg side of things, we do have a transfer of drones going down right now. Cheticus doing a nice thing and just droning up, trying to gain himself that nice economic advantage before he decides to switch his tech.
I like that the Zerg didn't over-respond at all to that attack. He made these initial lings to hold off the attack. Now he's just kind of macroing up. He feels really comfortable right now. You can see when the Terran moves out. I feel like Cheticus so far has a pretty good control on this game.
Yeah, he is putting up his lair right now deciding to drop down the Baling Nest, and this is kind of the first deviation from this build that we've seen yet, as there is no Roach Horn, there's no absolutely super fast infestation pit going down or anything along those lines, so Baling Nest on the way. I think he's going to try for an aggressive bust here and just try and catch his opponent off guard. Hey is producing a number of Marines. It looks like he has a couple of Marauders queued up, so Force coming out for him. His orbital command is done, but he doesn't want to move out until he does take control of his natural farm lane. So Orbital Command making its way over to the next expansion. We do have the Shadow of a Factory going down at the bottom of the ramp. Does serve a couple of purposes. Decreases the walk distance, if ever so slightly, and ensures that no Speedlings will be able to just duck themselves into the ramp and away from most of the forces of Hay. So Hay throwing down an engineering bay into that little wall as well. Back on Cheticus' side of things, we do have a bunch of Banelings that are being morphed in right now, along with a number of Zerglings. Spinecrawler going down for defense at the natural. But Cheticus looks like he's gearing up a pretty good force here.
This is I actually prefer this. I think it's a higher form of Terran play to actually wall off your expansion with buildings like this instead of just dropping 2 bunkers. You save yourself the resources that you would waste on the bunkers and just making a nice wall, and you pretty much achieve the same effect.
Especially as those structures are have so much more health too, it's a lot less likely that they'll get Baneling busted. But here come the Banelings.
This is really risky. These no-speed Banelings coming in here.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're getting target fired down, though, and oh my god, they actually get in and do a ton of damage. Hay just lost a lot of economy and a lot of units. Unfortunately, there's not enough Speedlings to follow this up.
Wow, I don't know if Hay just was asleep there or if he just saw it on the minimap and assumed that they were just Lings. I mean, he has stim and everything. I'm really surprised he didn't move out of the way faster there.
We do have a Speedling Baneling Mutalisk build coming out right now for Cheticus, as he is putting up his Spire down at the back of his main. But it appears as though Hay wants to move out here, or at least take control of the Zelnaga Tower. He does have a pretty good force up. It would be pretty devastating if he actually moved in right now, as there's only a few Lings that are up. We do have a few Banelings that are being morphed in right now. Right now, Hay is just checking both of these Zelnaga Towers to make sure nothing weird is afoot, no excess armies. And now I do believe he is going to push in. So 20 Speedlings on the way. We do have Baneling speed being researched. 2 of those Banelings were shot down immediately.
Yeah, I don't think seeing this creep out, I don't think Hay even wants to set foot onto that creep. It's a no man's land once you're out of your base, and the Zerg has control of the map with Speedlings. I would be really scared to just walk my Marine and Marauder into that base.
And Cheticus is about to finish his Spire right now. He does have a couple more Overlords on the way, trying to prevent any sort of supply blockage like we saw in the last game. But of course, no Vikings onto the field to play yet for Hayes. He does not have any sort of starboard. We do have some siege tanks on the way to try and neutralize those mass groups of Speedlings and Banelings. And he does have up a double engineering bay as well, so we are going to have some pretty aggressive upgrades for the bio units there for Hay.
One thing that I was surprised about, especially on my first game against Hay in Lost Temple, is that he upgrades his Marines very, very, very effectively. When 3/3 Marines come out, I mean, it's a whole different game than just playing against just the normal 1/2 or 2/2, how, you know, the lazy kind of Terran upgrades. He's really aggressive about getting his upgrades on his Marines, and it's a very effective play.
Yeah, 3/3 Marines are absolutely devastating. They just absolutely rip through any sort of hatchery. It's kind of amusing to watch just a group of 20 Marines or so can just pour through a hatchery in about 5 or 6 seconds.
I don't know if amusing is the word I would choose there, but...
From a caster's perspective.
Yeah,
but
from a Zerg's perspective, it's more, I would use the word traumatizing. But yeah, definitely. I mean, 3/3 Marines are very, very, very destructive, very cost-effective.
So there is a number of Speedlings up for Cheticus right now. He is going ahead and queuing up a bunch of Mutalisks. He has a few onto the field to play, along with Flyer Attacks level 1 coming out. He is a little bit worried about some air units, though, as Spore Crawlers have gone down at his main and his natural. The expansion now dropping down at the gold as well, and here come the Mutalisks, moving in and trying to do some damage there. Ooh, got to watch themselves flying above those Marines. And I think that Cheticus is going to move back for a little bit, as those Marines are in a pretty effective position to drive off all of those units. So, Marine up for Hay. He is going to check for an expansion. Unfortunately, he'll be intercepted by all of those Mutalisks. Bye-bye, Marine.
Looks like we're going to see a lot more of a standard kind of Mutaling, Baneling, maybe with some more Infestors thrown in here this game from the Zerg. Zerg's established pretty good map control with those Mutas. I mean, the Terran doesn't really feel comfortable moving out of his base. See the Zerg securing a 3rd base right now. He's doing a good job of getting his creep spread out there.
So now Hay looks like he's moving out with a good portion of his units. He's not pulling any SCVs with this, just deciding to attack with what he has. There are 30 more Speedlings and 11 Banelings that are coming up, though, so Hay is probably going to have to slow push forward, if at all. We already have some Mutalisks that look like they're going to move out of the way, or at least try and pull some units off of the main siege tank force, because unsupported, the Speedlings could run in there and end their day pretty quickly. So Hay now scanning, moving up, destroying some creep tumors for the time being. There goes down a selective stim with one of the units to check for an expansion. And that entry is going to fall, but here comes the rest of these Zerglings. He's pulling back right now to the siege tanks. The siege tanks are absorbing a lot of damage. The surround goes in. And I think that Hay is going to have all of his forces cleaned up there. GG Cheticus, nice job to hold that off. Now has a pretty good advantage in terms of army overall.
I really don't like I really get worried when Terran feel that they need to push so early. I'm much more comfortable with a very nice slow Terran push. Oftentimes you'll see Terran siege at the end of creep and just scan and very, very slowly move up. Fighting a Zerg on creep is very, very, very risky. I mean, as you saw there, the Banelings and the Lings were able to swarm that entire army so fast. Even though the Terran had the Zerg out upgrade, I think he was up a weapon and an attack and an armor upgrade before that battle. The Zerg really just smashed that attack force there.
A little bit of miscontrol there on the Mutalisks, and the Mutalisks unfortunately suffered about, I think there were 4 Mutalisks killed there while attempting to take down 1 missile turret. Not terribly cost effective. I think Hay is going to attempt to take down these destructible rocks and secure himself a gold expansion, but this creep spread is actually quite good so far. And oh god, unfortunately Cheticus was a little out of position with his Mutalisks, a little slow to respond. And 3 more of his Mutalisks did just fall, and Hay has once again taken control of the army game overall. Looks like he wants to go ahead and take out those destructible rocks. But we do have a double expand out of Cheticus right now, both at the 3 and the 9 o'clock positions, while Cheticus is getting ready with a good number of his Zerglings. So Army tab now still well in favor of Hay. Hay is currently on 1-1 upgrades for his bio. He's finishing an armory so that he can continue those ground upgrades. But there's enough creep right here that he's going to have to waste a scan or something along those lines just to be able to land that command center. So scan goes down, but I don't think he's got enough time to come over here and kill the creep tumors. No, they do eventually go down. So Hay will be able to place his command center here in just 1 second. Back on Cheticus' side of things, we do have yet another hatchery going down. This is going to put our Zerg player on 6 bases. In addition, he is bringing up an Ultralisk Cavern. So Ultralisk Cavern on the way. We are going to see a very, very quick transition to Tier 3 units. And wow, okay, so kind of an interesting build. GT Cheticus really being aggressive with taking all these bases. This is going to give him an incredible ability to macro up, though, especially now that he has the economy of his gold firmly established. He is down by 23 drones at this point, though.
I'm really, the Zerg is really, I don't know if I want to say overextended at this point, but I mean, if you check the army size, the Terran has a very convincing lead on army. If he secures his 3rd, I mean, the Terran has a few different routes that he can go here. He can easily drop 1 medevac with the Marines on any of these outlying bases and take the base out very quickly.
And so Hay now looks like he wants to move out again. He does put down the stim, but here come the Banelings. Let's see what kind of control we have, and Hay is trying to move away. Nice split there, but there are just too many Banelings, and the rest of those Marines absolutely rocks. A couple of siege tanks trying to establish themselves right now. Cheticus does have a good number of Mutalisks up. He is producing a couple of Corruptors as well, because he is going to a greater spire. We are going to see Ultralisk Broodlords here very quickly, where GT Cheticus, as he is putting up 30 more Zerglings at this point. So go ahead.
Once again, there, I just don't understand. That attack would have went so much differently. The Terran just moved right onto the creep, which let those Banelings just slide right up into that group of Marines. Marines can be the scariest thing in the world, but when they're sitting there, you know, with a huge DPS. But if they're all sitting together in a ball and you get a bunch of Banelings up near them that close on creep, they're not very scary at all.
No, as we saw, they just basically melted.
Yeah.
So we do have 3 Broodlords being morphed in at this point, in addition to the 3 Ultralisks that are being brought up. This is going to be a pretty scary force coming out of Cheticus here in very quick period of time. 2-2 upgrades about ready to finish for the Marines, though, of Hay. And Hay actually has reestablished control of army. Oh, here come the Mutalisks, and there's the stim. And a lot of those Mutalisks did fall. They did successfully pick off the 1 of those... oh, wow, actually, the Broodlords are moving in right now. They did pick off 1 siege tank, but here come the Broodlords and the Ultralisks. I think they're just going to sit here and outrange this planetary fortress until the Marines decide to move in and take this out. So Marines coming in, one Broodlord gets immediately target fired down, but here's the Ultralisk. Ultralisk moving in, doing a good bit of damage. Hey, splits his units there for a little bit. And the Ultralisk are actually absorbing quite a bit of damage. These Broodlords are going to need to move away or the Marines will be able to take them out very, very quickly.
That was a really off, very impressive split by Hay off creep there. Really cool. All of those Banelings just died, and you didn't see all the Marines explode like they would have on creep before. One thing that I was kind of surprised at, I don't know why the Zerg risked any mutas targeting those siege tanks. I actually think the siege tanks make Broodlords a lot stronger. The scariest thing about Broodlords against a Protoss and a Terran army is that the siege tanks will destroy your Marines as the Broodlords get around them, as the little Broodlings spawn from the attack. Usually you want to keep the siege tanks alive so that the Marines take more damage as the Broodlords fire from the siege tank splash, but...
Oh yeah, that's absolutely correct. And, you know, the way that Hay had his siege tanks positioned anyway, if those Broodlords would have been able to inch forward just a little bit, and he could have established a little bit more control, the siege tanks would have just absolutely wiped out that group of Marines. But the Marines did have a nice split there, and were able to secure themselves a little bit of a victory. Army tab shows us that Cheticus is down by about 50 food at this point. His army is a lot smaller. Looks like he wants to... No, he's just taking control of the Zelnaga Tower while he morphs in a bunch of Banelings. So he's going to make another aggressive push here. 22 Banelings being morphed in at this time. Again, he's doing some nice control, map control, and he is denying the next expansion in the top left-hand corner for Hay. Cheticus looks like he wants to queue up his forces and move in and attack directly into this set of 2-2 Marines almost at 3-3. All these siege tanks and that planetary fortress. And here it comes. So he is going to move in. The siege tank doing some damage. The Ultralisk's coming in right now. Let's see if those Banelings divert or if they take out the planetary fortress. No, those Banelings are just being slaughtered as they run across the map. There are a few left though, but there are just so many Marines that are left over. These Ultralisks are just dying immediately. And the Broodlord is forced to retreat. Cheticus now down to very little health. A drop coming in for Hay here over at the 9 o'clock expansion for GT Cheticus. Doing is he going to drop this right here? Is he going to make his way into the bay? No, he does drop right there. Hay counterattacking at the same time, picking off a number of Overlords. A couple of Banelings being brought in to support this. Are they going to be able to get in? Oh my god, nice split of the Marines there. And he gets away with only minimal damage. Fortunately, this expansion is going to go down for Cheticus over at the 9 o'clock position. Hay moving in one more time with his units, and he is replenishing his force basically this entire time. He already has another huge force gathered next to his planetary fortress. So, Hay going ahead and taking out that refinery. He's going to leapfrog his tanks forward and just try to deny all mining everywhere. Marines coming in now as well to take down a couple of Overlords. We do have 6 Ultralisks that are in production at this moment. Cheticus is really going to need to get those out if he has any hope of defending this. And Hay is really, just absolutely...
It's really surprising. I mean, the Zerg, Cheticus has shown such a great control of infestors. Maybe not necessarily fungal growth, but definitely, I mean, well, no, even fungal growth on those siege tanks and neuroparasite. I don't know why he isn't utilizing fungal growth at all. I think it would be extremely effective, especially with Broodlords and Ultralisks out on the map.
Yeah, if he could have just held those Marines in place for just half a second, those Banelings would have been much more cost-effective. The Ultralisks are up now. We finally do have plating coming down for the Ultralisks, so they have only been operating off of one armor upgrade for the time being. Cheticus is advancing upon those siege tanks, but Hay does a nice job at picking up those siege tanks at his base. He did deny that 9 o'clock expansion, so now Cheticus is almost mined out of his gold expansion. He's transferring some drones over to the 3 o'clock, but he's not in a very good way mining. Hey,
this is exactly what I commented on earlier. This Terran Hay is really good at nailing these upgrades really early. That this 3-3 Marine force, even if you don't realize it, just having your Zerg units at a lower tier of upgrades than Marines changes the whole way that the battles play out.
Cheticus has a good number of Ultralisks that were walking in and trying to deny that expansion one more time. The creep is almost gone, and Hay is actually walking in and just rocking the 3 o'clock expansion. There goes down the spine crawler. The Marines making their way in, and this, wow, God, look how quickly that hatchery just disappears. So, Hay has done his job. He has successfully denied that expansion. It appears as though the Ultralisks moved in and tried to take out that planetary fortress. They were successful. So, basically, no mining being done for Hay right now. Cheticus is not exactly in a good position, but if he's able to continue to deny the mining of his opponent for a while, he can reproduce his army, however slowly, and try and gain an advantage here. And it appears as though Cheticus is moving directly into this siege line. He's bringing his Ultralisk forward to do some damage. 2 Ultralisks have fallen very quickly. And the Banelings get in and actually did a pretty good amount of damage. But Cheticus is going to lose the rest of his Ultralisks here. No, actually, he is able to clean up the rest of those units. Mostly Medivacs now making up the actual resources of the army there for Hay. Hay did drop his Marines over at the 9 o'clock expansion one more time. He's going to move in and try and re-deny that. But these Ultralisks are getting in here and doing some good damage. Nice Contaminate goes down on 2 barracks as well. And those Ultralisks, which are now much more upgraded, are going to try and take out this Planetary Fortress, dealing a good bit of damage. That expansion over the 9 o'clock position is going down. Hay is successfully denying that. Is this Planetary Fortress going to fall? It'll be really close. Oh, yes, with the new reinforcements coming in, the Planetary Fortress does fall. Ultralisk standing in and just absolutely annihilating those Marines. But unfortunately, Cheticus has not been able to reproduce his army this entire time.
Yeah, this is kind of what I was talking about in terms of earlier when I said that the Zerg was overextending himself. This Medivac drop harass is just so effective. When the Terran is maxed out, it doesn't hurt the Terran army too bad to just grab 8 Marines and shuttle them off to a base and just drop it almost instantly.
Yeah, because there's actually, if we take a look at the income tab, there is no mining being done for either player. Cheticus is bringing in a small amount of minerals at this time. He is transferring some probes, but his expansion is not quite done. Gold expansion about ready to fall here. The Ultralisks are coming back in right now. Nice transfusions go down to keep those Ultralisks alive. The energy is now gone out of those Queens, but a good number of those Marines did fall. So Banlings being morphed in as well. The expansion about halfway done from down here in the bottom right-hand corner. And Hay is trying to desperately get up his mining over at his bases. He did establish another orbital command. Looks like he actually lifted his command centers at his main and his natural to drop down there onto the gold and the top left expansion. So, good number of Medivacs and Marines out. But the army is actually pretty small for both players at this juncture. We do have a siege tank and a couple of Marines being produced at the same time that there are a number of infestors coming up for Cheticus. Cheticus did find a way to save his expansion. Here come the Ultralisks one more time. And these Medivacs are actually running away. For what reason, I don't know. Banlings are coming in now and actually doing a nice job. Is Hay going to be able to... No! God! Hay loses most of his Marines right there. The Ultralisks are running in one more time. This isn't a Planetary Fortress over at the gold, so we'll not be able to assist in the attack at all. And the rest of these units, those SCVs for Hay, are forced away, and this expansion will go down one more time. So Cheticus, with this overwhelming force of Overlords, is finding a way back into this game.
He's fighting, he's trying hard, but the Terran is... I think the Terran's got enough money almost to re-max at this point. You just need to kind of get his macro under control again. The Zerg is really struggling. He's just mining that one base in the southeast. He's really hurting for money in army right now. As soon as these last 2 Ultras go down, I mean, if the Zerg just doesn't... I mean, if you check the army tab, he's got... I think 90% of the resources right here are just those 2 Ultras that were in that Terran base.
Yeah, and one of them did just fall. We have 22 more Zerglings on the way, but not a lot up for Cheticus at all. He is mining off of one base right now, and he did take out quite a few SCVs as well, but of course, Hay is still in the advantage there. He is now moving up with a good number of Marines. Oh, nice! Fungal growths go down, but look how many Medivacs there are. Look how quickly they heal all of those Marines. Both those Ultralisks do fall. The Infestor's going down as well, and these Medivacs are just full of energy. Broodling's going down, not even going to worry about the Spine Crawler at all, and Hay is just going to stim in one more time, trying to take out these Infestors that actually don't have any sort of energy whatsoever. There go down the Infestors. Tried to get out a couple of infested Terrans, but those are going to fall as well, and Hay is just going to come in here and deny the next base, which he has already dropped. He's already taken all these out, and Cheticus says, GG, well played, so Hay will advance to the finals of the SC Reddit Open.
Man, as much as I criticize the Terran for attacking on